We are feeling the impacts of yet another powerful storm system as heavy rain and flooding are hitting many communities across our area tonight. Thanks for being with us. I'm Spencer Washburn.
And I'm Amanda Gomez. We have team coverage tonight covering some of the impacted areas from Santa Cruz County to San Benito County. And we begin with meteorologist Steve Fundero in Felton Grove, where the San Lorenzo River reached major flood stage, forcing people there out of their homes. Steve?
Spencer and Amanda, Covered Bridge Road behind me here is still a mess. Now, there is some good news. We have seen some improvements. The water has slowly started to recede. Where I'm standing now was completely underwater just a few hours ago. But regardless of these improvements, residents out here are in for a rough ride over the next few days. At about noon on Tuesday, the San Lorenzo River reached major flood stage, almost 24 feet. To put that in perspective, the river begins flooding at 16 feet. Owner of the Valero station on the corner of Covered Bridge Road and Ocean says this is the worst he's seen it.
Some lady and her dogs were swimming out of her home back there. And some of those guys are a lot of my regular customers there. I see their cars underwater.
Not just their cars underwater, but their homes. Carlos Oliveira and a relative used kayaks to get people to safety. He says that was their #1 priority.
Me and my brother-in-law, we got kayaks. We checked all the houses. All the houses are clear. We got everybody across to this side.
The sheriff's office sent out its search and rescue team just around the corner on River Road. Crews say they're well prepared in these situations.
#1 priority for our office is obviously saving lives. People that are trapped in their buildings and their houses and getting them out to safety.
And residents in the area I spoke to say they were ready too, but just couldn't believe how quickly things flooded.
That quick, bro. And we haven't even felt the water from the mountains yet. So that's why it's gonna get worse.
And with more rain in the forecast this week, flooding will still be a big issue through the next couple of days. The Red Cross has set up an evacuation center at the Zayante Fire Department. We're live from Felton. Steve Fundero, KION News Channel 5, 46.
All right, Steve, thank you. Drivers on Highway 17 facing major delays in 2 counties tonight as well after mudslides closed the highway down in 2 spots. California Highway Patrol says a major slide came down on the northbound side this morning at Vine Hill Road. Traffic being turned around at Granite Creek Road in Scotts Valley now. Southbound is closed as a precaution because that slide is still moving. No word on when it will reopen there. And another closure is affecting drivers on the Santa Clara County side. Highway is shut down at Bear Creek Road. Crews say that portion is expected to be reopened at around 8 tonight.
And we continue our team coverage now in San Benito County, where voluntary evacuations are in place in Hollister near Pacheco Creek once again. This after rain caused the creek to rise to flood stage. KION Zach Fuentes is live for us at Lover's Lane with more. Zach.
Amanda, the floodwaters continue to rise here, and most vehicles can't even get past the water behind me. Now, at last check, the creek rose to 19.5 feet, and San Benito County Emergency Services also say that the Pacheco Creek levee appears to be broken in 2 new places. Now, officials went door to door issuing the voluntary evacuations, urging residents to protect their property as best they can. Now, you may remember this area flooded twice in January, and people and livestock had to be flooded. Officials tell me this is just as bad, if not worse. San Benito County Emergency Services tell me they've been preparing for more rain over the past weeks, clearing out creeks and fixing potholes. Sandbags have also been available to residents. Today, though, their main goal has been ensuring residents' safety.
And now we're just in response mode, trying to make sure if people are still in their houses that we get them out so that there's no, no injuries or worse.
This is happening just as many residents here on Lover's Lane began rebuilding from all the damage caused weeks ago. Now, there's another part to this story that I'm working on at 6 o'clock, and that's the impact that this storm has had in residents here and what the county's been doing to prepare and prevent this kind of flooding.
Major traffic trouble tonight, more than 24 hours after another massive mudslide on Highway 17. Thanks for being with us. I'm Spencer Washburn. This is the 3rd major slide on that road this winter already. KION's Paul Dudley is starting us off tonight live in Scotts Valley with the latest for us. Paul?
Yeah, Spencer, I'm actually just around the corner from where this slide happened. Caltrans actually moved me back because they said any closer could still be dangerous.
Breaking news on your Central Coast news source.
Residents in San Benito County under mandatory evacuations due to that flooding from Pacheco Creek. This is the second time that residents living on Lovers Lane and San Felipe Road are being forced out of their homes after a levee breach there. Thanks for joining us. I'm Spencer Washburn.
And I'm Amanda Gomez. KION's Linda Zhang is live in Hollister tonight with what's being done and the rescue efforts taking place. Linda?
Well, Spencer and Amanda, this is certainly unexpected for both residents and emergency responders, and some people had to be rescued out by boats this afternoon. Just take a look behind me. There's so much water covering the ground, and some homes are completely soaked with another round of rain, and it's already starting to come down. Emergency responders are urging residents to be careful.
Just to make sure that people are aware of the weather. It's changing very quickly. The water and the onset of the flash flooding is very extreme, so we want to make sure that people understand that they should keep a close eye on the weather and they should be ready to evacuate when they're so notified by the authorities.
The evacuation order is expected to last at least about 24 hours. At this point, emergency officials say they can't go to fix the levee. For one, it is on private property, and two, the ground is very saturated, so they can't get any heavy machinery over to the area. In Hollister, Linda Zhang, KION News Channel 5, 46.
All right, Linda, thank you. And we're going to bring in Chief Meteorologist Dan Cianca now. He's in the Weather Center with more on these warnings that residents are facing. Dan?
Yeah, Amanda, we're going to show you that warning and give you a good geographical perspective as to the areas that this is impacting. Let's take a look at the map right now. The flash flood warning from earlier is now a flood warning, and that has been extended through 3:45 p.m. on Monday. So throughout the weekend, ongoing flooding along Pacheco Creek right here, and flooding likely in some other of the area lakes and streams. So Hollister's just to your south here. You got Gilroy up here. Pacheco Creek comes out of the canyon here. You got San Felipe Lake. The Lovers Lane area is right about here. This is where we've seen most of the flooding. This all kind of drains out into what eventually becomes the Pacheco River. So this whole area that you see in green is technically under that flood warning and will be so all the way through the weekend. So we're going to be watching this closely for you. On top of that, there is some concern about extra erosion at the spillway on Pacheco Lake, which is farther upstream from Pacheco Creek. So again, this whole area will be under the gun as we head through the weekend, and we've got more updates on that coming up. Back to you guys.
All right. Dan, thank you. Today, Donald Trump completed the transformation from reality star to the nation's commander-in-chief.
As America's 45th president, he'll preside over a deeply divided nation. But for this day, at least, all sides came together for the transition of power. And Craig Boswell reports tonight from Washington.
Swear. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
At the stroke of noon, surrounded by his family, Donald Trump put his hand on Abraham Lincoln's Bible and took the presidential oath of office, administered by Chief Justice John Roberts.
So help me God. So help me God.
Looking on were former Presidents George Bush and Jimmy Carter, as well as Bill and Hillary Clinton.
I, Michael Richard Pence.
Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas administered the oath of office for Vice President Mike Pence. After a 21-gun salute, the new president delivered his inaugural address.
From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first.
Along with the Washington elite, hundreds of thousands of people braved drizzly weather to watch the making of history.
We wanted to get a feel for the entire process. Good, bad, both sides, everything.
I am very proud that we've got our country back again.
President Trump signed executive orders before joining guests for lunch and heading to the parade up Pennsylvania Avenue. By that point, he had said goodbye to the outgoing commander-in-chief. Ending their 8 years in the White House with a final wave, the former president and first lady departed cloudy Washington, headed to sunnier days on vacation in Palm Springs. Craig Boswell, CBS News, Washington.
And next on the agenda, the president and Mrs. Trump will attend 3 inaugural balls tonight.
Nearly 100 people have been arrested as thousands of protesters descended on Washington, D.C. for Trump's inauguration. Most of the demonstrations were peaceful, but a few arrived in town intent on causing chaos and destruction. Protesters carrying anarchy flags knocked over trash cans and destroyed windows as they swarmed through the streets. Police officers fought back with pepper spray and tear gas. Many demonstrators were handcuffed with zip ties and led away one by one. They're being charged with rioting. At least one person was taken to the hospital. On Saturday, more than 200,000 people are expected to take part in the Women's March on Washington in protest of President Trump. But not all of the anti-Trump protests during the inauguration happened in Washington. Hundreds also took to the streets of Houston. Many held signs in support of labor unions and jobs and also against a border wall. There were no arrests, and more than 100 people gathered outside the Colorado state capitol. It was one of several planned demonstrations in Denver today.
And on the Central Coast, people are speaking out against the 45th president. KION's Maya Holmes is joining us live from Santa Cruz tonight, where hundreds hit the streets in protest. Maya?
Spencer and Amanda, the streets are clear now, but earlier today, cars could not get through as protesters blocked main arteries.
I'm feeling definitely sad, very angry, but inspired and ready to fight.
As President Donald Trump took over the White House, hundreds of protesters took over downtown Santa Cruz. The general strike began with a walkout at UC Santa Cruz, and from there the group marched to the clock tower, speaking out against the new commander-in-chief.
It's very upsetting that people would believe in this man and believe that this country, that he is the solution to our problems, because he is not. He is a blatant racist, xenophobe, and sexist.
Some of the hot-button issues, accusations of racism and concerns over immigration policies and women's rights, along with fear and uncertainty.
We don't expect to be able to force Trump out of office today from what we're doing here in Santa Cruz and what people are doing around the country. But we, I think, do have the capacity to unite people to really fight and resist this new administration.
The group is also calling on California and Santa Cruz to adopt a sanctuary status in order to protect immigrants.
I'm definitely having an issue with immigration policies, the build the wall. I have family that are immigrants and that I have a bunch of friends who are also, so that's very scary and very troubling for me.
Organizers say all of this is not going to end today. It's just the beginning.
We're planning probably regular weekly meetings in Santa Cruz to talk about how to deal with the Trump administration and the future.
And the event also included several workshops. The Santa Cruz Police Department will be out and about today monitoring the situation to make sure the protests are peaceful, and they're also looking at traffic impacts. Live in Santa Cruz, Maya Holmes, KION News Channel 5, 46.
All right, Maya, thank you. There was a lot of comment on social media regarding the inauguration and protests.
Our digital content director, Barry Brown, he's been keeping tabs on all those comments for us all day today, and he is joining us now. Barry?
Well, Spencer and Amanda, Donald J. Trump is no stranger to social media, so we thought it would be a good place to start with his accounts this morning, and that's where we turn to the Donald Trump Facebook page. It featured excerpts from his speech today and comments which rather predictably were favorable, and that was true on our KION Facebook page as well. The Santa Cruz protests received the most amount of comments, most of them very critical of the demonstration. Once a user suggested that professors drop demonstrators from their classes. Another suggested that they get a job. That theme was repeated in other comments. One person wrote, "Go to class." Another suggested that protesters should lose scholarships. Finally, one person urged us not to cover the protests at all. There was one major change in the social media landscape today. President Trump, who has over 2 million followers on his personal Twitter account, inherited a new handle today. He can be found at POTUS, P-O-T-U-S, President
Going to
of
be
the
very
United
active.
States. Yes, I imagine so.
Yeah.
We got a quick announcement about our dear digital director here, Barry Brown, moving to our morning show, Wake Up, starting on Monday, I believe.
Yeah, a week from Monday on the 30th.
Taking over for Ashley Allen, who's leaving us, but we're glad to have you on board. He's been doing all our digital stuff, watching our online, our Facebook, all the social media.
A familiar face on the Central Coast also.
For sure, right, making his triumphant return here.
There you
at
go.
KION.
That's what I like. Thank you
Nice to
very
have you.
much.
Thanks, Barry.
guys.
All right, some local high school students are hopeful after seeing highlights of President Trump's inauguration speech. The speech is intended to set an agenda for the next 4 years. President Trump tackled topics like jobs and hinted at foreign policies. We spoke to Gonzales High School seniors and got their take on the new commander-in-chief.
I do think he has good intentions. It wasn't like before how he was very rude and very racist, but now that he has this position of being president, he's taking it more seriously, and I do think he's going to do better.
Students say some of the issues they're most concerned about include immigration and health care. And coming up tonight at 6, we're going to hear from a political scientist about the inauguration speech, why he feels it didn't reach out to all Americans. Dan is back with more on those storm warnings that you need to know about for your weekend coming up.
Plus, a look at more areas here on the Central Coast being affected by those storms and forcing several road closures.
And we are learning more about the victim killed in that officer-involved shooting in Salinas, including now his name.